Welcome to the Generic Management 4 workshop with Chartwell Business College. We're going to cover Unit Standard 119459 on communication. Having passed matric and being used to speaking English, or English might be our first language, we might be inclined to believe that we communicate effectively. When communicating in business, we need to be more deliberate in what we say and how we say it, and the barriers that might be present in the environment and in the moment. From our experience, we know that there is misunderstanding and misinterpretation. In this section, we need to examine how this may affect the business. How could we improve our business communication, both oral and written? Although you may be granted an exemption from doing the questions, you need to challenge yourself and assess your communication skills honestly. Are you aware of the communication barriers, and do you consciously compensate for them so that you communicate effectively? Are you an active listener, and do you wait for a committed listener before you speak? These are just some areas to examine and explore to improve our communication skills. So communication is a process of sending and receiving a message for a specific reason through a communication channel, which can be verbal or written or visual. Communication is most successful when all the parties in the exchange process have understood the message. So there's a sender, the person who starts the message. It could be a range, it could be a few people, it could be a single individual or a group. The sender will have a reason for sending the message. He knows what he wants to achieve. Once the purpose has been identified, the sender encodes the message. To do this, he must think about who the receiver is, and he will decide on the best way to send the message so that it has the best chance of being received correctly. The communication channel is the method used to transfer the message, and the message can be transmitted visually, in writing, or verbally. The receiver is the person for whom the message is intended. Once he receives the message, he must decode it, interpret its meaning. How successful this will be depends on how familiar the receiver is with the subject, how well the receiver knows the sender, and the appropriateness of the communication channel. So there are some barriers to communication. The sender and receiver can both experience problems with encoding and decoding messages, and this can lead to breakdown in communication. Either the message is encoded badly, or the message was received incorrectly, or maybe both, or there was some external factor like noise, or there was some mental factor like someone was angry and they weren't listening. And those we would call psychological factors. Sometimes we have personal characteristics of the sender and the receiver. For example, maybe the age of the sender and the generation gap, the gender or race or social class, because different people communicate differently. Background could play a role. For example, the culture and the customs and the values and the behavior that can make us prejudiced or biased. Our home language, our beliefs, our religion, our knowledge of what terms mean, our interest in the message being sent, could all complicate and create barriers for communication that will be effective. If you know what results you want from the communication into action, it will help you in choosing the correct communication channel. For example, you may want your audience to analyze and respond, so you should give them something in writing that they can analyze. Be informed. If you just wanted to inform them, again, writing may be preferable so that they can have a permanent record. If you wanted to receive an opinion or get an opinion, in which case you may communicate orally to be able to get an instant response. Evaluate alternatives. Then you might want a combination of written and oral communication, and that might be the appropriate channel. Once you know what you want to say, why you want to say it, who you want to say it to, when you must say it, then you're able to make an informed choice. So communication has various elements that we've covered. We need to develop some reading skills. We need to develop writing skills. We need to have some oral communication skills. But as we said, one has to develop these skills in order to be doing effective communication, constructing a message so that it is not misconstrued, being comfortable with the vocabulary, being comfortable to be able to interpret what we put out and what we receive.